So now what I've done is cut out the little belts. There's a shoulder belt that I'm holding, and the other two ones are for the laps. And I'm doing the very same thing I did before with every other part, which is in this case using a little brown marker to go around all of the white edges. And that has to be done very carefully. And it's not as tedious to do it as it is to watch it on a video. Um, and in some cases, like on the back here, because I'm worried that when I put it on the seat, it's going to actually fold, or I'll see the back, I'll see white. I just cover the whole back with the dark brown so that it won't show any kind of light accidentally. But I have to get all those edges on there, everything completed. If you were really crazy, you could even take some little metal clasps out of wire, and you could make the buckles and things, but I just cut these out directly as is. Now I was trying to figure out how the heck to put this thing in. There's a little white mark on the back of the seat where the shoulder harness should go, and I initially thought it's just supposed to glue like that. But then I thought, I wonder if it's supposed to go inside. And I wish I'd have thought about that before I did all this, because I had to cut this out beforehand. So what I had to do is retroactively cut out that little piece. And to cut out something, you need a sharp blade. You want to cut it out neat and clean. In this case, I'm putting tiny little stabs to go around the perimeter to finally pick this little thing out. You don't want to rip this, and you don't want to lose any color on the side. And you probably should make sure it's colored too, but in this case, if this ends up going through here, I think we're all right. And lo and behold, I think it fits right in there, and I think that looks a little better. It looks like it's actually connected to something as opposed to just sticking on the side. So now I just had to figure out how to glue it in place, and the first thing I did was actually glue it in wrong. I put it on I was thinking, okay, in the back, which side should I glue this thing to? And I actually glued it in such a way that when you then pull it down in the front, there's a lot of force and pressure, so it didn't work, and you'll see what I end up doing. But I just need to make sure this piece is through on the back there, and then I'll add a little glue on the tab, and I will then squeeze. Oh, that's my cat. He loves models. See, I glued it on the top piece, thinking that will make a lot of sense, but it turns out it didn't make any sense. I should have just pushed it down, because it turns out that how it actually folds, it makes a little more sense. I'm trying to get this in here, but then once I glue that in place and it dries, then when I pull these down, they ended up automatically sort of falling down, and they just didn't look right. So there I'm realizing that, well, you're a doofus, and I realized that maybe I should glue them the other way. So glue them so they're up on the tippy on the top. And here I'm trying to glue them in, even though there's no glue there, and I realized, dummy, you really got to put glue up there then. So I pull a little tab out, stick some glue in, and squeeze them tight. A lot of times when you squeeze things with the pliers, it really helps things glue really fast and neat, and quickly. It's almost like you put pressure on them and they really go. I just had to make sure the seatbelt was way up, so it's really into that hole, before I squeeze it, because it started to sort of fall down. And then I'm trying to position them so that they look a little interesting. Now these are the side lap belts. Now, since you're not going to see much of the side of the seat, they are just going to glue on just right where that shows, so like so, without being cut, and that will be just fine. So here's the seat now with the sides connected, the side belts, pardon me, and now I'm trying to put a little glue on them, and I'm deciding where they're going to go. And if you just hold down the side with your thumb and then push and just hold for a few seconds, it will start to dry, and you end up getting these seat belts that kind of are draped and look really nice. You could do a lot more work with them. You could twist them. You could do all kinds of things. But there's the basic seat with the added seat belts, and it's actually quite nice. You could stop right there. What I decided to do was weather a little bit with some colored pencils, Prismacolor, I think these are. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, where would there be dirt, or where would there be runs, where would there be shadows? I figure if a bunch of guys are flying this thing and the Blackbird fellas, the mechanics, are in there playing around, there might be marks on there. Someone's nervous and they sweat a lot back there, or a parachute clasp scratches the seat, what have you. So I start putting in these little bits of brown scuffs everywhere I can. And you sort of, less is more, absolutely. And you have to just practice at this. You could use paint as well. You could even use pastel chalks. Some people use paint and sponges because a sponge will give you sort of a random chip almost. And so if you put that in some paint, you can make some really pleasing textures with the paint on there. Now here I'm trying to deaden some of the brown that I put on because some was a little strong, looked kind of dumb. So I'm going back with a silver and sort of making some little marks. What this does, you can't see it in the video, but it makes little, I don't know, slight changes in modulation of color on the seat. So it's not just a gray printed seat. It has a little bit more character. And I'm focusing on the actual seat and the seat back because that's what you'll see the most. Doesn't mean there should be something back there. Oh, and here I noticed that I think my little curve on the front is going to start to come off. Oh, and then I found this is nice with these gray airplanes, sort of Luftwaffe airplanes. A darker gray chip actually adds a little interest, quite a bit of interest to these, and finishes them off. I'm just dabbing it in various places to make it look sort of interesting. Again, just to break up sort of the overall background. And here, as I was doing that, I kind of messed up that front piece. So I put a little glue in there, squeeze it shut. Again, it dries clear, and it's back to where it should be. And so there is essentially the finished and enhanced seat. Those little weathering bits, it looks pretty nice, especially in real life. It's hard to see on the video, but I'm quite pleased with it.